Okay, and a big welcome to everyone who has joined me here this evening for this webinar. This webinar is the last in a series of 4 sessions which were offered and sponsored by Oxford TEFL. For those of you who don't know, Oxford TEFL is an extremely prestigious and well-known teacher training centre which is based in Europe. They've taught over 3,000, or they've trained over 3,000 teachers since opening in the early 90s, and they have centres in Prague, India, England, and of course Spain, which is how I got to know them. So they've teamed up just this year with Active English to bring teacher training, online teacher training, to Brazil. So it is with a big thank you to Oxford TEFL for sponsoring these webinars for us this evening. Now, my webinar is about very young learner lesson planning. This session is for anyone who wants to make the most of their young learner classes and perhaps get some new ideas, learn a new approach to lesson planning and, of course, implementing these lessons with the 3 to 5-year-olds. I'm going to show you how I do it. Now, I'm not saying this is the way you have to do it. I just thought it would be interesting to share what I've been doing with my young learners. And I'll also be letting you know how you can download an example lesson plan from me at the end of this session, so stick around to the end. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Claire Venables, and I'm a qualified and experienced teacher and teacher trainer, and I've been in ELT, dedicated to ELT for the past 17 years. 10 of those were in Spain, and the last 7 were right here in Vitoria, Espírito Santo. Now, over the years, I've taught just about every age and level, but what I'm most passionate about is teaching young learners. From 2013 to 2016, I'd created and I was implementing an immersion program for 3 to 5-year-olds in my city at a wonderful school called Upuere. The children were divided by age, so 8 groups of 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, and there were up to 24 students in a class, and they had lessons for 1 hour, 5 days a week. And nowadays, I continue to work with Upuere, and I'm supervising a lovely team of teachers there who can continue with my program. So that's a little bit about my teaching context and background. But I would love to know more about you. I would love to know who we have here with us tonight. So I've actually created a poll, and I'm going to share this poll with you, and I would love you all to answer these 5 questions for me. It won't take long. The first question is, what is your teaching context? How old are your students? How many students in your class? How many classes do your students have a week? And how long are the classes? So let's have a look at what we've got here. Good, good, good. 19, 20, 21, 22 people finished. Got a couple more people waiting on. Okay, we're going to stop at 2 minutes. There we go. So still a couple of people who haven't answered the questions yet, but we'll stop there and let's have a look at the results. Okay, so this is interesting. Most people here tonight work at a private language school. We've got some private teachers. Some teachers are in a regular preschool or primary school. We've got some secondary school teachers here too. I wonder what this other is. If you put other, let us know what you mean by other. Are you a teacher trainer? Are you looking to start working with kids? Let us know in the chat box. Okay, we've got a lot of people who teach the 3 to 5-year-olds. I'm so pleased. This confirms my theory that there's a really a growing demand for well qualified and experienced and trained teachers for this age group. So, wow, this was surprising. This was surprising. Okay, so up to 15 students, between 5 and 15 students in your groups. That's nice. That's nice not to have such huge groups, right? How many classes a week? Most people are only doing 2 classes a week. Okay. Okay, good. And 60 minutes. Wonderful. Let's have a look what these other people are. Teacher trainers. Okay, so Juliana, hi Juliana, is a teacher trainer. So that's why she clicked other. It's lovely to have you with us. So I'm going to put that poll away now. And we are going to continue with this webinar. So, if you've met me in any of my conferences or teacher training sessions or even online, you'll know that I'm really passionate about teaching kids. But I'm also really passionate about connecting with other like-minded teachers to help strengthen and grow our teaching community. So that's why it's just such a pleasure to be here with all of you tonight, to be sharing this with you. Like I said, this isn't something that you have to do or have to follow. It's just what I've been doing successfully, and I thought it would be interesting to start this dialogue, sharing how I've been planning my lessons. Hopefully you'll get some inspiration from that and maybe even be encouraged to share your own lesson plan framework with all of us. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing in the session today. We're going to start off by looking at the characteristics of the very young learner. Now, this is essential. Before you start planning lessons, you need to understand age and stage that these students are at and what makes them so different from learners of other age groups. Then I'm going to jump straight in and show you my very young learner lesson outline. And I'm going to go through stage by stage with some ideas of how to make that happen. And then that's going to take about 30 minutes. And the last 15 minutes, I would like to dedicate to open up this session for discussion and any questions and answers that we can share at the end there. So as we're going, please note down your questions and let's share that at the end. Don't forget, at the end, I'm going to tell you how you can download a handout, and I'll also share with you a slide with some extra resources and further reading for you on this topic. Let's jump in. So the characteristics of the very young learner. Now, I don't pretend to be offering you tonight an in-depth look into child development. That's not what this is. This is a good starting point though. And I took this from a website called One Stop English. Again, the link is going to be on the slide at the end, so you can have a look at this in more detail and also check out other age groups because they have 3 to 5, 6 to 9, and 10 to 12 there. So this is just a rough overview. Let's have a look at some of the characteristics that make the very young learner different. 3 to 5-year-olds are not starting, they're in preschool, or they might be just starting school. So this means that a lot of them aren't used to school conventions. So that has to be something you take into consideration when you're planning your lesson. You're going to have to teach them a lot of conventions, school-type conventions that they may not have been exposed to before, like things like getting in line that we often ask our students to do, or taking turns to speak, or listening to the teacher. These are all kinds of conventions that need to be considered. They also have limited motor skills. So this is not only something that will dictate what kind of activities you do with them, it's also something you need to be developing through the activities. So lots of drawing, lots of playing with sand and things they can manipulate with their hands, fine motor skills. Fine motor skill development is very important, and gross motor skill development too. Children are learning holistically. So that means we need to teach the whole child. We're not just teaching English. They can't distinguish between different parts of language. So it might seem obvious, but that will affect the way you talk about language and you talk about English. Don't use any meta language with this age group. You're going to be teaching whole chunks and you're going to be teaching in a very natural way. Children at this age also don't see any need to speak in English. So you're going to have to motivate them to do that through songs and chants and games. They have very limited reading and writing skills, even in L1. So you're going to be focusing a lot on the listening and the speaking and really early reading and writing activities. I always say that it's more important to develop a love of literature than introduce writing skills for 3 to 5 year olds. Children of this age love stories and love fantasy, and that comes in a lot in our lesson planning, in the themes that we choose and the activities that we run. So by knowing more about the age and the stage of the children that you're teaching, you'll be better equipped to choose appropriate activities. Now let's take a look at my lesson framework. My lessons generally have 7 phases. And remember, they're only an hour long. So as you can see, when teaching very young learners, you have to keep it short and snappy. You don't want them sitting in the same place for very long. You want them moving around the classroom, and you want them participating in a variety of different activities. I have starting the lesson, greeting, and today's schedule. That all happens at the start of the class, and I'll walk you through that in a minute. We'll have a circle time. We'll do topic-related language support, language work. We'll tidy up the classroom, which is a lesson stage of its own. And then we have our goodbye song, our goodbye phase, our closing at the end there. Let's take a look at what these involve. Before we do that, we do need to talk about routine. Now, I posted a link in the event page, and I wonder how many of you got to read it. Can I see how many of you? Can you just let me know in the chat box? Great, Fernanda had to read. Good. Okay. Doesn't matter if you didn't read it, but I'd recommend you read it afterwards. It's a very nice post, and it quotes one of my all-time favorite young learner experts. Her name's Carol Reed. I'm going to type her name here so you can look her up. Oops. So Carol Reed and in mainstream education, routine is essential. Anyone in early childhood education will say that routine is really, really important for kids. And if you're working with children on the autism spectrum, you'll know it is even more important for this kind of student. And if you're working for foreign language students, it's also incredibly important. Why? Here are the reasons that I've stated that routines are important. Having a routine will help your students feel secure and sure of what is expected of them, because they will learn very quickly the stages of the lesson, where they are in the room, and the kind of behavior that is expected of them from the routine before they understand the language that you're using. If you, like me, teach entirely in English, the routine is really, really essential to help develop that sense of security among the kids. And through that routine, you're providing space for language growth. So that repetition of the same classroom commands that you'll use to organize the group and transition the group, they will become used to that language and they will learn it very, very quickly. So when I sing with my group, come and sit down on the floor, they will recognize the tune of the song. And then with time, that will just become, come and sit down on the floor. And then that will grow to become, come and sit down on the chair, come and sit down next to Enhiki, come and sit down next to me. The language grows through that routine and repetition. It also helps create security by having a very specific order of classroom events the children know are coming up. And I'll show you how we do that by taking a look at my next slide. Okay, so when I start my lesson, believe it or not, my lesson actually starts at the front door before the children even walk in. This is a very special time, and the value of this moment cannot be underestimated. Children love sharing with us, and when you build rapport with your students through this moment, they will want to come to the start each class with stories about having had their hair cut, or having a new pair of shoes, having lost a tooth, or it's their birthday coming up. This is a moment when they can share with you all of that, and you can interact with them as they share. Oh, I like your hair. Let me see your tooth. It's your birthday. How old are you going to be? All of these personal one-to-one interactions happen before we even move into the classroom. They might use L1, but I will always be speaking in English. So it's also a way for them to get into the, change their chip, switch, turn that English switch on. We're activating the English. They know English class is about to start. So like I said, don't underestimate the importance of that interaction to build positive relationships with your students before your lesson actually begins. So, and in my classes, everybody comes in and I have a beautiful colored foam mat, and that's where we start our lesson every day. They'll come in and they'll sit down on that mat, and they'll know they have a little poster, and they'll know they'll sit, their legs crossed, their hands up, other hand in their lap, and they'll show me that they're ready to learn. And I'll do this chant with them. I'll say, are you ready? And they'll say, yes. Are you ready? Yes. And I'll say, well, let's go, let's go, let's go, go, go. G-O, G-O, let's go, go, go. And we'll start our lesson. Now, my lesson always starts with a hello song. Does anybody else here have a hello song that they use at the start of each class? Of course you all do. Who doesn't have a hello song? I have been singing my hello song for so long, and I tell you, it is really, really important to have a repertoire so that you don't go crazy. So that's what we're going to do now. I told you you'd have to participate, and that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you to have a look at this link here, and if you click on it, you'll go to an app called Flipgrid. I have to credit Jamie Keddy for this this resource. He's the one who put me onto Flipgrid. I think it's fantastic. I will talk to you another day about a project I have with Flipgrid. But tonight, I would like you to get involved by checking out this song. If you take a look here, this is the link, and it will take you to this video. And I'm going to share this here so that you can click on it and follow it. And here is my song. Hold on a minute. Can you hear the audio on that? Right. Sorry, let's start again. Still no sound? Click on the link on your computer and go and check it out on your computer, I think would be the best way to do that, because I can't see here how I could possibly turn up the volume. Sing it. I'd love to sing it, but I've lost my voice. Gisele, you're going to click on this link that I left here. It'll take you to this page. It's going to take you to this page, and you can watch my video. And then I'd like you to hit this green plus sign and record your own hello song. I told you you'd have to participate in this webinar. Oh, Gracie's going to do it. Okay, so we've got people watching. Oh, Gisele, I'm so sorry that you've lost your voice too. Okay, I'm glad you're liking that. Would anybody like to see my students singing it? Okay, I'm gonna pull this up again. And if we have a look down here at the bottom, I would love for you guys, if you can't record your song now, I would love for you to go back at it later on and record it for us. And then everybody can access this and build up their repertoire of hello songs. And down the bottom, you've got the YouTube link to my kids. So let's see if you can hear the sound on this. Look at them hitting the high notes. Wasn't that adorable? Oh, I adore them. Okay, so I'm going to close that one down. So, the hello song. Oh, Giovanna's got her one there. Fabulous. Yeah, my son was in that class. He was one of the kids in the group there. Okay, so let's get back to it. Oh, and my mum's here tonight. There's my mum. She's the one who taught me that song. Like I said in the video, she's an early childhood educator. So, hi, Mum. Okay, so let's get into full screen here. So that's starting the lesson. But I don't just start the lesson with a song. I also find it really important to work on social skills and to create a positive learning atmosphere right at the very beginning of the class. And you may or may not have seen my blog post on fun and friendship in the Young Learner Classroom. It talks a lot about this, so I won't go into it too much here, but I will link you to my blog so you can check it out. Practicing social skills as well is something else that, like we mentioned, at this age group, a lot of kids don't know how to greet each other yet. So this is an opportunity to help them not only practice their English, but practice greeting each other. So 3 ideas that I have for doing that. One is called Walk, Don't Touch. And after we've learned the greeting, and that will happen through me doing it with them individually at the start of the class, I'll get them to walk around the room, taking care not to touch anyone. That just creates an extra physical challenge. Walking around the room, and I'll chant like this: walk, don't touch, walk, don't touch, walk, don't touch, and stop. And when I say stop, they stop in front of a partner and they greet their partner. They do that little dialogue that we've been practicing with their partner. And it might be something as simple as hello, hello. That could be it. If you're working with very, very, very beginners, that's enough. And they might give each other a hug, or they might shake hands, or they might do a high five or a fist bump. But that's a great way. It's a great little simple activity to get them practicing looking each other in the eye and saying hello, asking how one another are. And it also changes the dynamic of the class. So it's not always just teacher-student interaction in English. You start encouraging student-student interaction in English, which is so important. Another thing that I've been doing, experimenting with recently, are using positive affirmations in my class. So when I'm doing the roll call or the register, I will model the kind of language I want them to be using with each other by giving them positive affirmations like, I'm so happy you're here today. It's so good to see you. I love having you in my class. You're such a good class member, and all of these kinds of things. Again, this is something I talk about extensively in my teacher training, and I won't get into it any further here. For the sake of time, we're going to move on. Group formation, briefly summarizing what it is, it's this idea that by creating positive relationships with specific activities used every lesson, we can lower the affective filter of these students, get them working together better, get them more comfortable taking risks and feeling comfortable making mistakes in front of each other. Again, my blog post has a lot about this. Marina Rosa also has a wonderful session that she does on non-competitive games. So hopefully I'll be able to share with you soon for you to get more practical ideas of the kind of activities I'm talking about at this lesson stage. The next lesson stage, we look at the visual schedule. In this part of the lesson, we're going through the main activities of the day. Ideally, you'll be using real photographs of the children doing the different activities. But in the beginning, you might not. In the beginning, you obviously won't have access to those photographs. So I'm going to link you to a place where you can get some really nice, like this one here, nice visuals that you can use. You laminate them, and you have a wonderful set of cards which will represent every lesson stage. Why is routine, or why are visual schedules important in the foreign language classroom? What do you think? Any answers? I'm putting this over to you. Why are visual schedules important? So, kids are visual. They don't read, so they need to see pictures. That's true. Children are visual learners. To avoid use of L1. To include them in the learning process. To make them part of the learning process. They connect the language with the images. These are all very good ideas. Let me tell you though, It's also really important. Helen Elizabeth Henderson, are you there? Do you have any input there about why it's important to use a visual schedule with very young learners? Kids at this age also don't have any notion of time. So you're creating a sense of security by setting them up with a visual guide of what's happening now and what's happening next. And if you have a small set of these cards, you can also create a matching large set and put those around the room in the place where these activities will take place. And it allows you to use English and with the language support of the visual to help organize and transition your students around the room at each different lesson stage. They will learn these off by heart, and you can make it really interesting. It doesn't always have to be showing them a flashcard and getting them to repeat it. Here are some ideas of what you can do. First one is called the slow reveal. So after they've learned them, after you've done it a couple of times and that sort of showing them the card and saying what it is gets boring, you can slowly reveal the card and get them to shout out what it is. So simple, and yet they love it. The next one I will teach you is one where you will hold the card up to your chest and you get them to guess what it is. And you get them to shout out. And they'll probably be quite familiar with your routine, so they might start getting these right. They'll shout out what it is, and you go, yes, you're right, or no, that's not it, try again. The next one is say it like this. You can show them the card. You can say it in a whisper. You'll have to go, circle. You can say it with a sad voice. Circle. Say it with a happy voice. Circle. The last one is probably my favorite. It's called shake, shake, shake. And what you do is you get them to look at the picture, and instead of getting them to say it out loud, you say, oh, don't say it out loud. Whisper it into your hand. Whisper it into your hand. That's it. And you'll get them to go like this, and you show them how to do it. Circle. And then you get them to put the lid on. And a shake, 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 shake. A shake, 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 shake. Take the lid off. Circle. See how that works? It's more than what meets the eye. For children who are perhaps got a lower level of proficiency, that helps them participate in this stage of the activity because they'll hear their friends going, circle, and they'll be able to participate too. Shake, 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 circle. And you can use this at this lesson stage, but you can also use it anytime you want to elicit an answer from the group. Get them to whisper it into their hand first. And so then we'll look at the weather. And let me give you one little tip about how I get them to look at the weather. We put on our weather goggles to look at the weather, and we'll go up to the window, or sometimes we'll go out onto the veranda, we'll have a look up at the sky, and we'll talk about the weather that we see, and we'll do the day of the week, and then we'll take the register. And I'll show you later on what my register looks like. But I've got a personalized register for each child, and I'll go through these cards with them, and I'll ask who's here, who's not here. And it's very teacher-centered at the beginning, to be honest, this stage of the lesson. It's me controlling the whole thing. But as the year progresses, my involvement in this becomes less and less. And as the children learn all of these beautiful chunks of language and questions and answers, I'll get my class helper to do this entire lesson stage. And let me tell you, it doesn't take long before they're able to do it all on their own. And it's really, really amazing to see. Next slide. So let's have a look at my circle time. At circle time, it's a moment to introduce or revise the topic of the week. And there are lots of ways that we can do this. The objective is to engage them and also activate any schema, activate their prior knowledge about this topic, all of the language that they already know, get them thinking about it. You can do this in many ways. You can use flashcards like I'm doing in the picture here. You can bring in realia. You can show an art project that you might be doing. You can use photographs. One thing I do like to do with this is I like to present whatever it is that I'm going to be showing them inside a bag or a special box. Oh, they love this box. And here's the song that I sing. Oh, you'll have to excuse my croaky voice today. It's really simple. It's sung to the tune of The Farmer is in the Dell, and it goes, "What's in the box? Oh, what's in the box? E-I-A-Laddie-O, oh, what's in the box?" And this box will get passed around the circle from child to child until they can shake it, even try and guess what's in the box, until it comes back around to me, and we all try and guess what's in the box. And this is a great opportunity for introducing language as well, because they'll shout out some ridiculous things like Power Ranger or an elephant. Obviously, that's not what's in the box, but sometimes they'll get it right. And you can even go giving them clues if you want. You can look inside the box and you can say yes or no. You can let kids put their hand into the box and feel the object to see if they can guess what it is. Lots of things can be done here in a very interesting and engaging and developmentally rich way. So at circle time, we will also sing a song. We'll read a story which will extend that theme. Anyone who knows me knows that I love music and I love storytelling with my very young learners. And I've written extensively about that on my blog as well, so you can check that out. But don't think that song time is just something we tack on because we know kids love singing. It's one reason only. There is so much to exploit with songs and stories. Here are some ways that you can do it. You can use live songs. And this is my favorite way of introducing a song, is to sing it with them myself. I much prefer that to having them watching a video. But you can use video clips, so it's not my go-to. Also, using music, I have a special moment every week in my classes for free dancing. Oh, this is so much fun. We put on the song of their choice, and they don't have to sing, they don't have to do the actions, they can just boogie on down. Let me tell you, it is so, so, so fun. It usually happens on a Friday, last thing before we leave. Wonderful idea. Give it a go. Storytelling doesn't just have to be stories with picture books. You can also do puppet shows. You can use ebooks, which are quite interactive these days. And there's another thing that I love doing, and I urge you to give it a go as well. It's free reading time. Now, I have on display in my classroom all of our books. And it's a special little corner of the room where after I've read a story, I'll allow them to go pick a book. They sit down on these little cute little cushions that I've had made, and they read the story themselves. And this is so, so, so important to help them develop a love of reading from the very beginning. Moving on. So after circle time, it's time for topic-related language work. So because I have 5 days on this particular program with them, every day we explore the language, we explore the theme in a different way. So we're giving them exposure to the language in multiple ways. Hopefully this will reach every child. The first day is about language support, okay? It's really important that we don't forget the kids do need controlled practice. It's got to be scaffolded before they're able to do some of these other activities in English on their own. So we will use games to expose them and give them some controlled practice of the key language that they'll be using in other activities during the week. Day 2, we do have iPads at our school. That might not be your case. If it is your case, use technology, use it wisely, use it, don't abuse it. There are lots of video clips, images that you can show. You can bring the real world into the classroom by projecting things onto a whiteboard if you have one, and a projector. But there's also lots of apps that you can use. And again, I have a video of how I use apps to make it a communicative activity with the kids. It's not just me putting them on the iPad and leaving them to it. There's always something else involved. Day 3 is a project-based activity. And that's when I'm doing my drama activities, my science, my literature projects. That happens on day 3. On day 4, and this is really, really important for our very young learners, our sensory or artistic activities, craft, sensory play, loose parts play that you all know that I love so much. Check out my blog to get some more ideas about that. And day 5, here's something interesting that you might not have thought of doing. Free play. Free play is literally that. Free play is when they get a chance to take any of the games or activities that we've used throughout the week and play with them on their own, freely, without intervention or dictation of what they need to do from me. But don't think that free play is a chance for a teacher to sit back and do nothing. Free play is a chance for you to observe the kids, see what they've picked up, see what they're able to do on their own. You will be surprised at how much language they're able to produce, spontaneously, naturally, and in context. It's also, for me, it's a chance to see what they're interested in doing, and it will help me make better choices about my planning in the future. So Free Play Friday. So they've had a whole week of classes too. It's a wonderful moment for them to just enjoy being in the English classroom, playing with the materials from English class. We have free dancing at the very end, and off they go for their weekend with this really positive attitude towards English. I hope you try it. I hope you try Free Play. It's not commonly used, and I think it's something that we need to create more of, this space for children to play. So at the end of my class, we do tidy up the classroom. Here's a tip from me to you. Give a warning. Don't just make them end their activities, because again, kids don't have much of a notion of time. They can't read the clock. So give them a 5-minute warning. You might have a song you use, a chant. You might have a little bell. I've got a little bell that I've used when I've lost my voice before. And then here's something that I've only started doing. I wish I had been doing it earlier, but this circle at the very end of the class, just to finalize the lesson. They've been working on an art project. They can bring it and show their other kids, and you can talk about it. You could ask them for feedback. What was your favorite thing today that you loved doing the most? This just helps to create closure for the lesson. You need to stick to a routine, whatever it is that you do. It's really important, because the last 5 minutes need to be organized and memorable. You don't want them leaving the classroom all crazy. Don't just sort of say, okay, time's up, goodbye, out the door. You'll see here in this picture, can you see that picture that I've got on my slide? Each child has one of those that they've decorated at the start of their year, and they have a photograph of the child's face and the child's name. So at the very beginning of the lesson, this for me was gold. This helped organize the beginning and ending of my classes like a dream. So when we're doing the roll call, or the register as I call it, where's Sophie? Here. How are you today? I'm fine. So Sophie takes her picture and she pegs it on that piece of string in a line. And then at the very end of the class, I'll sing the Get in Line song, and it goes, gosh, I wish I didn't have such a croaky voice, but my Get in Line song is sung to the tune of This Little Light of Mine. And it goes, this little group of mine, they're gonna get in line. This little group of mine, they're gonna get in line. Get in line, get in line, get in line. Oh yeah. And by the oh yeah, you'll see all of the kids are standing next to their little picture in line, ready to sing the goodbye song. And then it's time to say goodbye, and they walk in an orderly fashion out the door, and they leave there having a really positive attitude about their English class. So that's it, basically. That's my lesson. I hope you've enjoyed this framework, and I hope you've found things that maybe you're already doing, or maybe things that you could possibly incorporate into your context. I loved being with you all here this evening, and if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask me, please feel free to do so now in the chat box. Someone has asked me to record a CD with these songs. You know what? I'm not going to be recording a CD anytime soon, but I will be using Flipgrid as a way for teachers to share and share their songs, and a way for me to share my songs with all of you as well. So keep hold of that link. I'll be adding more videos to it very soon, and I'm looking forward to seeing your videos. Okay, how do you deal with discipline issues? So that's a song from Juliana. Juliana, a very, very important and really good question. Discipline issues. Let me tell you one thing, first of all, about my use of Portuguese. My classes are entirely in English, except when I need to do classroom management, because I think it's cruel to be trying to discipline a child in a language they don't understand fully. So I'll take the child aside, I'll get down to their level, and I'll talk to them in Portuguese about what's going on and what I need to see happen. That's how I deal with discipline issues. But I'm a big fan of preventative discipline. I believe that a very clear, organized routine with age-appropriate and engaging activities can prevent a lot of discipline issues. So classroom management sounds like a session that I should definitely do very quickly. Maybe I'll offer another webinar soon just on classroom management. It's also something that we look at in my teaching online teaching young learners course. That's something that you could consider doing as well to find out more about it. There's also lots of great information from Carol Reed. She offers some really great advice about classroom management. Let's see if we've got any more questions here. I'll be making this recording available via the link on the event page. So thank you very much for being here. A Saturday morning sleepy group, you need to wake them up from the very beginning, get them up and moving. Or alternatively, you could start the class off very gently and very quietly and slowly raise the energy level as your class progresses. Saturday classes must be a real challenge. Like I promised, the links to some further reading are coming up. Let me show you this first. Before I go, I'd like to share the following with you. We're all very young learner teachers. And ever since arriving in Brazil 7 years ago, I've seen that the starting age for teaching English and for children learning English has been dropping. So in a lot of ways, it's a very exciting time to be a young learner teacher. You can't underestimate the importance of making English from the very early years a successful, effective, and affective process. I really believe that quality, or if we want the average or the English level overall in Brazil to improve, we have to make sure that quality is present from the very beginning. I don't think it's responsible for schools to be throwing teachers into the classroom without any support or guidance. It's one of my missions this year, is to try and reach as many young learner teachers as possible to provide the support and resources that they need to become the most successful versions of their professional selves, and to make sure that we're offering our best to our young learners. So I love sharing through blog, through my Facebook page, through the sessions that I offer. And I also love sharing with you all on my teacher training course that I'm offering. For all of the people who attended this webinar, I'm offering you a very special deal. It's a discount of 20% off the price of the course if you use the promo code webinar. The thing is, the course starts tomorrow. So you have until midday tomorrow to sign up for this course and take advantage of this discount and help me, or join me rather, on this course and become part of the Active English community of like-minded and passionate young learner teachers, and help you achieve your professional goals and improve your teaching practice. So take a photo of this slide, or you can also access my webpage. Here are my contact details. If you would like to get in touch with me, feel free. And here, as promised, is the slide with further reading and resources. I'll be sharing this with you on the event page. All that's left to say now is thank you very, very much for being here. It has been such a pleasure having you with me. And I just want to thank you honestly for helping me through my very first webinar ever. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye. Guys, the discount, by the way, is only for people who were actually in the webinar. So this is just for you guys. So until 12 o'clock tomorrow. Good night.